Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. I would like to encourage everyone on my Facebook friends list, everyone in my social groups, and all of my listeners worldwide. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button and share this video podcast with your friends, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's free. Help make this video podcast go viral by posting it to your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your X page, formerly known as Twitter, your TikTok page, and or on your LinkedIn page. This video podcast is available in three forms: audio, video, and as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. We have upgraded our platform by moving from an audio podcast to a video podcast using StreamYard. We want to interact with our audience in real time through the chat rooms during our live podcasts. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our interactive Black grassroots media component. We discuss controversial topics that you don't hear about from the mainstream media. We're committed to reporting truthful and accurate news. We believe that now is the time for a comprehensive and new strategy and a new movement for Black people / African people. For those of you who don't know who I am, then get to know me. Make arrangements with me to come on the show and get on camera. I am the founder and president of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. I encourage everyone on my Facebook friends list, that would be 2016 people, to come on my platform. I use my platform to give Black artists, African artists, Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs on my friends list and in my social groups an opportunity to promote their products and services to my listeners from the global community. I also give people in the faith community an opportunity to promote their ministries and to share a 30-minute sermon with my listeners from the global community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcast and YouTube channel to help them earn extra revenue. I also assist people on my friends list with creating basic websites, finding college scholarships, grants, housing, and legal services, all for free. I've been hosting video podcasts every week, and still only one person has donated to our film project. Black people, I need you all to step up. I'm not doing this for my health. My film project is my last attempt to try to get my story on the big screen in order to reach the Black masses and the Black world, to let them know who we are and what we're trying to do for the African American community and the African immigrant community for credibility before we expand to Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean. Work with me while I'm alive. Don't wait until I'm dead. In my Christian business, we're raising the bar in Black America. We will separate ourselves from con artists, Black boule, degenerates, democratic shills, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off-code Negroes, and urban terrorists. Those who reject my vision and plan to help improve Black America will not be part of my Christian business, because this will be membership-based. We will pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it moving. The question at hand is, how long will it take for us to get this film project fully funded and made? My answer is up to the Black grassroots and the global African family. I encourage non-Black sympathizers to patronize our film project as well, but it's Black Americans and African immigrants who are GRCAM members' responsibility to build it and to own it. The reason why many of you are not getting my notifications when we upload a new video podcast on YouTube is because I'm being shadow banned. Shadow ban is the process of blocking a content creator's videos or blog postings from social sites like Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, just to name a few. Because someone who works for those companies may not like your point of view, whether the action is taken by an individual or an algorithm. This is why it's so important that GRCAM members would step up and get behind this film project so that the proceeds from the film would put me in a better position financially so that I can purchase property in Chicago, buy office equipment, and hire qualified Black middle-class professionals and African immigrants within the United States of America. Then we can build GRCAI Chicago, which is the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. GRCAI Chicago will serve both the African American community and the African immigrant community, starting on the west side of Chicago and eventually expand to the south side of Chicago. Since I have little to no support for my cause, all I can do at this time is news and social commentary. If you're serious about learning more about me, then please purchase my revised book, quote, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. And read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then make arrangements with me to come on this platform and let's talk about it and encourage others to join. Also, donate what you can towards our film project. I am reaching out to African immigrants within the United States of America to help me speed up the process. From 10 African nations, they are as follows: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. All I ask is that you purchase my revised book, either the ebook or the paperback, and read my story for yourself. If you agree with my plans, then donate what you can to the film project and work with me on this platform to help get the word out. Also share my information with your friends, including your non-Black friends. This will help speed up the process. Our aim is to raise $250,000. We are using crowdfunding such as GoFundMe so that everyone would know exactly where the money is going. Upcoming events. Our guest speakers for the month of July is as follows. Saturday, July 20th, we have Prophetess Marbeth Rose from Virginia. Please mark your calendar for the following dates for our monthly virtual conference. Facebook Live event Saturday, July 27, 2024. Theme, The Divine Nine, a.k.a. the Black Boule versus GRCAM. Where? Facebook Live /StreamYard. Time, 2 p.m. through 4 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. Instructions on how to participate on the show. First, watch my video presentation. This is called Side A. After I finish my presentation, then I will open up the phone lines through Facebook Messenger and drop a link in the chat room to StreamYard Studio so that you can interact with me in real time on camera for Q&A. This is called Side B. The title of this presentation: Democrats are using Project 2025 as a scare tactic to Black voters and artificial intelligence and systematic racism. Our first topic: the Democrats are using Project 2025 as a scare tactic to Black voters. I encourage all of my listeners to go to the comment section below this video podcast. Look for my Medium transcript. Click on it and scroll down to show and prove in order to read Project 2025 yourself. Basically, I am just going to paraphrase what it said. Project 2025 was created by the Heritage Foundation. It's a comprehensive initiative designed for a potential conservative administration in January 2025. It is structured around four main components: policy development, personnel database training, and the playbook for the Trump administration. I thought we got past the scare tactics that the Democrats would send our way. I guess not. I received a lot of messages about Project 2025. I started to do my own research. It's a 900-page document, but nobody's talking about what's on Trump's website. The Democrats don't have any wins right now, so they're using the same scare tactics on Black Americans to stop letting them scare you. Behind closed doors, the Democrats think all Black Americans are stupid. We listen to everything they tell us. We don't research information for ourselves. For example, Black children in the Bronx don't know what a computer is. That came from a high-ranking Democrat. And you can listen to that video under Show and Prove on my transcript. The Democrats said that they discovered a systematic, ruthless plan to undermine the quality of life for millions of Americans, remove critical protections, and dismantle programs for communities across the nation, and prioritize special interests and ideological extremism over the American people. Special interest groups are prioritizing right now. Look at AIPAC. They got Jamal Bowman out there. They are not for the American people. We're going to break down each component. First, let's touch on the policy development. The conservative promise is a detailed policy guide that provides specific recommendations for governing major federal agencies. The guide provides conservative solutions to various issues, including economic policies, healthcare, education, and national security. It is intended to serve as a blueprint for the Trump administration, ensuring that key conservative values and strategies are implemented. The second component is the personal database. Project 2025 includes a comprehensive personnel database aimed at identifying and vetting potential appointees for various positions within the federal government. This database seeks to ensure that a future conservative administration has a pool of qualified, ideologically aligned individuals ready to fill key roles. The requirement effort spans across different sectors and backgrounds, targeting experienced professionals who can execute and the administration's agenda efficiently. The third component is the training through the Presidential Administration Academy to prepare the identified personnel for their roles. Project 2025 has established the Presidential Administration Academy. This academy offers a range of training programs, including workshops, seminars, online courses, and mentorships from the former administration officials. The training is designed to equip future administrators with the necessary skills and knowledge to implement conservative policies effectively. The fourth component is the 180-day playbook. The 180-day playbook is a strategic document outlining the implement actions to be taken by the new administration within the first 180 days. This playbook is crafted to enable swift policy reversals and the implementations of conservative priorities, ensuring a smooth and impactful start include specific action for various departments and agencies, focusing on undoing the policies of the previous administration and setting the stage for long-term conservative governance. Now let's talk about the coalition and organization structure. Project 2025 is supported by a coalition of over 100 conservative organizations, including think tank advocacy groups and academic institutions. This broad coalition brings together diverse expertise and resources to support the project's goal. Notable participants include former officials from the Trump administration who contribute their experience and insight to the project. There are specific policy focus areas in Project 2025. Project 2025 proposed significant changes to federal policies on reproductive health. These include removing references to abortion from federal laws and regulation, reversing the appeal of abortion pills, and defunding clinics that provide abortion or contraceptive services. The initiative also aims to reinstate a Compo Act to ban mail order abortion and reshape Medicaid to avoid funding reproductive health care services that include abortion. Another area is cultural and social issues. The project emphasizes the restoration of traditional family values and religious principles. This includes opposing policies perceived as supporting cultural Marxism and promoting a pro-life agenda. It advocates for policies that support the nuclear family, religious liberty, and traditional gender roles. There's also the leadership of Project 2025, which is directed by Paul Dan, a former chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management during the Trump administration. So, what are the criticisms of Project 2025? It has sparked significant criticism from various sources. Critics argue that the project embodies a comprehensive plan to centralize executive power, erode democratic norms, and enforce a far-right agenda on American governance and society. Let's look at 5 criticisms. First, the centralization of executive power. One major criticism of Project 2025 is the expansion of presidential control over the federal bureaucracy. The plan includes reviving Schedule F classification, which would allow the president to replace thousands of civil service employees with political appointees loyal to the administration. Critics argue this would undermine the nonpartisan nature of the civil service and politicize governmental federal agencies, making them tools of the executive branch rather than independent entities. Secondly, the attack on democratic institutions. Critics claim that Project 2025 is a blueprint that includes proposal to dismantle or weaken key democratic institutions. This includes plans to defund the Department of Justice and dismantle the FBI and other agencies that could act as checks and balances on presidential powers. Such moves are seen as efforts to undermine the rule of law and enable the executive branch to operate with little oversight or accountability. Third, the project also faces criticism for its potential use for governance power to target political opponents and critics. There are fears that it would enable the executives to pursue legal action against political adversaries, and critical media outlets, drawing parallel to authoritarian regimes where dissent is suppressed through state mechanisms. The fourth criticism is about social and cultural agenda. Project 2025 policy agendas include strong positions on social issues, promoting conservative values that critics argue could roll back rights and protection for various groups. The document outlines plans to restrict LGBT rights, enforce strict anti-abortion measures, and integrate Christian nationalist principles into government policies. These agendas has raised concerns about the erosion of civil liberties and the imposition of a particular religious and ideological framework on the entire nation. Finally, the environmental and climate policies roll back. The project's stance on environmental regulation. It proposed significant rollbacks of climate policies, which critics argue would have detrimental effects on efforts to combat climate change. The plan is seen as catering to business interests at the expense of long-term ecological sustainability. Donald Trump will empower, as far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump will empower American patients by expanding healthcare choice, transparency, and affordability. This will help increase competition in the health insurance market, eliminating Obamacare, ensuring that pharmaceutical companies offer the same discounts to American citizens as they do other nations to save lives. He is going to protect Medicare, Social Security, and patients with pre-existing conditions, enable discrimination across society in everything from housing, education, and employment. Create Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights is the agenda's dedicated office to ensure that environmental and public health policies are crafted and implemented in ways to ensure no community is left behind or disproportionately harmed. Eliminating this office would put the communities they have historically protected from harm from pollution, climate change, and other hazards which far too often affects Black and brown communities at increased rates. For example, Cancer Alley still exists in Louisiana. Biden and the so-called Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights, Black Americans are still getting cancer. They haven't done nothing. In Flint, they still have a water issue. Same thing in Jackson, Mississippi. Nothing about environmental justice. All I see on Trump's website is about rebuilding the greatest economy in America. Fair trade for American workers. He's talking about free and open trade and securing the borders. We definitely want him to secure the borders because that would benefit Black Americans and our cities. Trump talks about renewing American strength and leadership, rejecting globalism and embracing patriotism, protecting parents' rights. I don't have to vote for a person because they have no policy that reflects my interests. I demand economic tangibles for my group, Black Americans, just like every other, uh, everyone else, or no vote, period. I'm so tired of these Democrats trying to scare Black Americans. Why the Democrats isn't talking to the Asian community? After all, they gave them an anti-Asian hate crime bill. Why aren't you telling them about Project 2025? It's up to Black millennials and Generation Z to hold the line. Biden is struggling with young Black voters who are concerned about the economy, the migrant crisis, criminal justice reform, and voting rights. The main reason why Biden is losing the Black vote is because of food prices, gas prices, high insurance, healthcare, auto insurance, high inflation rates. People can't afford to buy homes. We did not have these issues under the Trump administration. The Democrats are telling Black Americans that Trump will put us back into the Jim Crow era. The Democrats are about serving everybody else except Black Americans based on their policies. See what happens when you don't make Black Americans a priority? Stop trying to tell us about a function of government of Black Americans when everyone else benefits. We want specific things for our group, just like the anti-Asian hate crime bill. We want economic tangibles in the forms of cash payment for descendants of American slaves, as well as an anti-Black hate crime bill. Then you would get our vote. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below and share this with your friends on all social media sites. So in other words, put me on blast. This will help get the ball rolling. Because again, I don't want to be doing this stuff another 32 years. Trying to take this thing to the next level, trying to encourage all of my listeners to support this film project so I can do my job. Our second topic, artificial intelligence and systematic racism. One of the challenges in AI is computer models that discriminate against Black people. As the adoption of AI infiltrates more sectors in our society, such as policing, employment, health, and financial lending, the question is, how do we build models that address systematic racism? The tech sector has found on creating, quote, fair algorithms. But what constitutes fairness in the context of structural racism? Developers of AI need to think about ethics and responsible AI and how these systems can be a force to eliminate rather than perpetuate structural inequalities in our society. I will focus on the impacts of media and database systems on human behavior related to systematic racism, the intersection between race, technology, and society. Many of you probably know that MIT is launching a new technology program that would help in forms of inequality in our society. It's my hope that in time, Rakio Chicago, under our science and technology component, can develop the skills and the intellect and the leverage these technology systems in ways that have real world impact, and also so that it could not be, biased towards Black people. In order to do that, we have to understand what's happening in the world in which we live. 2 people were falsely arrested for a crime that they did not commit, and they were falsely arrested by facial recognition software. identifying them as the culprit of a crime. They both were apprehended, detained, and spent time in jail until the situation was clarified. It's circumstances like this that raises the alarm around the world about the importance of these technologies and the way in which, if we're not careful, can replicate the system forms of inequality that we often hear about. How should we respond to these systems? This has become an important part of a conversation among a number of different communities and thinkers. Machine learned practitioners are trying to design systems that function and operate in a fair way. Some would argue that by designing the models so that it's unaware of race, you you end up not recreating the kinds of racial biases that we've been accustomed to historically. But others may argue that if you don't explicitly recognize race, you end up dealing with it in the long run, especially in a multicultural society. If your model is looking at other kinds of data, such as zip code, school, your financial situation, all of those things in some ways can be a reflection of someone's racial identity. Even when you're not explicitly thinking about race, race implicitly makes its way into these systems in ways that we have to understand. When we think about this notion of fairness, treating everyone equally, the idea is that in some ways, even if we're being fair, we may not necessarily address inequalities or structures by the world which we live. So, this notion of fairness, in some ways, if we're not careful, makes the assumption that everyone gets treated equally. The notion that all of us have access to resources and have the same opportunities. We know that's not true. And so, even a fair algorithm in some ways may not necessarily deal with the structural inequalities that we hear about. Social scientists have spent decades thinking about ways in which racism manifests itself in society. They have identified different expressions, different formations, different kinds of racism. The use of racial epithet or prejudiced attitudes are things that are familiar to us. In each of these subsist systems, disparities or inequality exists. Do some of these disparities or inequalities exist precisely because of discrimination? We're dealing with it within the context of AI and computer systems. This notion of fairness tends to treat racism as primarily an individual problem, but when you start thinking about the institutional and the structure, you begin to see where the computer challenges exist and how this will be something that's going to require interdisciplinary interdisciplinary expertise to address some of these biases that have existed for so long, that have restricted black people's access to quality homes, quality health care, quality schools, and all kinds of opportunities in life. We have to ask who gets access to the knowledge and skills to build these systems. It's not only who's building AI, who, but also who's using AI. For example, those in law enforcement and in public health. How do we design these systems in ways that not only mitigate these kinds of outcomes, but how do we train the next generation who will be using these systems to make sure that They make decisions that are ethical, responsible, and in some ways address these systematic inequalities. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. In other words, put me on blast. This will help get the ball rolling. I'm going to send a challenge out to everybody that's listening to this video podcast. I need you all to support our film project so that we can move Cam beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people who are trapped in American ghettos, starting in Chicago. Hood Liberator, made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins. You can be a part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our campaign either on our GoFundMe page or on our PayPal page, which will help fund marketing, promotion, clearance, legal, and general expenses. If you are a U.S. citizen, you can use our PayPal page as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 faith-based community advocacy organization. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you on the next video podcast. Please join Cam by joining either my Christian groups, Light of the World Inspirational Group, or Christian Spoken Word Network, or join my secular groups, Gurkai of Africa, Gurkai of Chicago, or New Black Voices of Media, etc. Also exchange emails with me so that way we can stay connected because this is my third Facebook page. Hackers are forever bugging. Again, please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below and share this video podcast with all your friends on all social sites that you're on. This will help get the ball rolling. I would like to thank everyone who have contributed or will contribute to support us on our PayPal page, purchasing items from our virtual store, or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99. The paperback is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all of the links below this video podcast in the comments section. If you're listening to this audio podcast on Spotify, just click on the YouTube icon and look to the far right next to my photo, and you will see all the links. Just scroll down. Make sure that you click that subscribe button. Make sure that you hit that like button, and see you on the next episode. This will conclude our video podcast. Peace and blessings.